All right, here we go. Last review. So this is the the second of two parts review for your semester final. Remember, don't just review one of these. You must review both of these. You got what? 7 days before the test. You got plenty of time to study. Do not wait until Wednesday night to study. Do a little bit of studying each day. Obviously, devote the most of your time studying for your next final, but don't wait until the very last day to study for your math final. Plus, it'll give you the opportunity to ask me questions if you need questions asked. All right, here we go. This is going to be chapters 9 through 11. 9 through 11. Same general notes. Remember, this will be a multiple choice test, meaning that when you get the answer, right, it should be one of the answers. This is exactly like what the test will look like. Now, granted, I'll probably cut down to somewhere around 50 questions, but if there's a topic on this review, guaranteed it will be on the test. So please, please, please do the practice test. Not once, but multiple times. Especially for the ones that you get wrong, repeat those until you get them right. And if there's any confusion, make sure you email me, let me give you some help. You got plenty of time, but use your time wisely. Okay, here we go. So some of this is going to be rather quick. Remember, this is a review. I'm not going to do 20 examples of each. I'm probably going to do one example of each. So you must be able to know how to convert a decimal to a percent. Decimal to percent. Remember, the rule is to convert a decimal to percent, you move the decimal place 2 places to the right and tack on a percentage symbol. So we have 0.17. It says move the decimal place 2 places to the right. 1, 2. Therefore, the answer is 17%. Okay? Maybe one more. Decimal to percent, 2 places to the right. 0.07, I need to move it 2 places to the right. 1, 2, that's a 7, so 7%. Got it? All right, let's do the converse to that. Instead of doing decimal percent, we're doing percent to decimal. So I'm going to give you the percent. So if changing a decimal to percent is moving it 2 places to the right, then a percent to decimal is 2 places to the left. So we start off with the 15. The decimal place is after the 5. We're moving 2 places to the left. 1, 2, 0.15. Got it? All right. Percent to a decimal. Where's the decimal? It's after the 6, to the right of it. Move it 2 places to the left. 1. Now we've got a problem. There's no more digits. So add a 0 and move it 2 places. 1, 2. So 0.06 or 0.06. They're going to always put a leading 0. All right, next topic, percent to fraction, the easy one. The steps to convert a percent to a fraction is the number is the numerator. That percent number right there, 40, whatever that number is, that's the numerator. And the denominator is always 100. That's what percent, the definition of percent, a number compared to 100. So, fraction bar, the numerator is the number. So there goes a 40 right there. The denominator is always 100. Reduce the fraction. No, this is not a class on reducing the fraction. Divide both sides, or numerator denominator by 20, and we get 2/5. One more time, percent to fraction. The number is the numerator. So 5% is 5. 5 is the top number, the numerator. Denominator is always 100 and reduce. 5 goes into both of those numbers, so 1/20. We good? All right. Topic 4, fraction to percent. Fraction to percent. Well, I won't say it's the hardest one. It's just as easy as the rest. It's just the one that requires the most work. Why? Because you need to convert that first to a decimal. How do you convert a fraction to a decimal? Remember, the top number, the numerator, goes inside. The bottom number, the denominator, goes outside. No, this is not a class on long division. 5 goes into 11.2. 5 goes 11. 5 goes into 1.2 times. Now it's a decimal. Now you're going to convert that decimal to a percent. That was 2 places to the right. So we need to move it 2 places to the right. Once, no more digits, so add a 0. Twice, so 20%. One more time. Fraction to a percent, right? You need to convert the fraction to a decimal. So numerator goes inside, denominator goes outside, division, long division. No, this isn't a class on long division. The answer is 0.64. Convert it to the decimal now to a percent. 2 places to the right. 1, 2, so 64%. Resource card, critical, Those were 4 things. They're all pretty well. Maybe this one was a little bit more challenging because of the long division, but they're all very easy. But the rules can certainly get mixed up in your head. So make a great resource card. All right, topic number 5, areas. Areas. There are 4 basic formulas that when we did areas. Well, 5 if you count the circles. But areas of polygon, there's 4 of them. There's rectangles, including squares, parallelograms, triangles, and trapezoids. There are the 4 formulas. The 5th one would be circles, but it's not a polygon. All right, a rectangle is length times width. A parallelogram is base times height. A triangle is base times height divided by 2, or 1/2 base times height. And a trapezoid is the height times the 2 bases added together, all divided by 2. Make sure that's on your resource card. Here we go. What's the shape? Well, the shape's a rectangle. The formula says area is equal to length times width. The length is 2. The width is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. The units are always squared because we're measuring area, so it's in square units. No, they're never going to have 2 answers, 10 miles or 10 square miles. They won't mess around with the units. I'm not saying that it's a good idea to ever ignore the units, but for this test, the units will be correct. Triangle. Triangle is basically a half, right, of a parallelogram. A parallelogram is base times height, so a triangle is base times height divided by 2, or 1/2 base times height. Remember the little square there, that 90-degree angle, that's measuring the perpendicular distance between the base and the opposite vertex is defined as the height. So you want to find the height and the base, look for the little tiny square. It touches both. So the base is 10, the height is 3.6. Oh, my animation's way out of order here. So 10 times 3.6, 36. 36 divided by 2 is 18. Cool? All right. Yes, if you're not careful, this looks like a trapezoid. It is not. What's in red is simply measurements. It's not part of the shape. The shape's in black. That's a parallelogram. Area of parallelogram is base times height. The base is 10.7. The height is 3.4. My animation's still awfully out of order. 10.7 times 3.4 turns out, I'm skipping the multiplication here, is 36.38. Easy? Oh, yes. Last one, the one that generally gives us problems, it's a trapezoid. Remember trapezoid, 4 sides, so quadrilateral with 2 sides that are parallel. The 2 sides that are parallel are called the bases. The other 2 are called the legs. And then the perpendicular distance, that's the red part, the perpendicular distance between the 2 bases is called the height. So there's our formula. I need the height and the 2 bases. The 2 bases are the parallel sides. The height here is 4. The bases are 1.8 and 5. So let's see, we got to do order of operations, parentheses first. 1.8 plus 5 is 6.8. Then 4 times 6.8, 27.2. Divide that by 2, and we get 13.6. 13.6. Okay? All right. One more area we have to do, and that is a circle. The formula for circle is pi r squared. Be careful. Yes, I could give you the diameter. If I give you the diameter, you got to divide the diameter by 2. But if I give you the radius right here, remember radius is halfway from the center to the outside, diameter all the way across through the center. All right, so I'm giving you a radius here. So my radius is 10. I'd plug in 10 for r, do order of operations. Order of operations says exponents first, 10 squared is not 10 times 2. It's 10 written twice, 10 times 10. 10 times 10 is 100. 100 times 3.14 is 314. Notice, look at the answer. There isn't a 314 there. Why? This computer program that generates these questions uses a much longer version of pi than 3.14. I don't know which one they use, but certainly theirs is more than just 2 decimal places. That's why their number is slightly bigger than ours. But you will not be confused. Look at all the answers. There is no answer that is remotely close to 314 other than C. Okay? All right. Next topic, volume. Volume, 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 volume. So a rectangular prism is length times width times height. Length times width times height. So look at the top or the bottom. The length is 9 and the width is 8. The distance between the top and the bottom is 7. That is the height. So 9 times 8 times 7. 9 times 8 times 7, really big number. Answer C. I said we're only going to do one examples of each. If you need extra practice on these shapes, email me, please. Don't wait until Wednesday night. Wednesday night's kind of too late at that point. All right, next shape is cylinder. Cylinder, the formula for cylinder for volume is pi r squared h. Pi r squared h. Pi r squared h. So I need the height, that's the distance between the two bases, the two circles, and I need the radius of the circle. The radius here is 8, and the height is 5. Notice where I put those numbers. If you flip-flop those numbers, you will get this wrong. 3.14 for pi. So order of operations says exponents first. 8 squared, 8 times, it's not 8 times 2, it's 8 written twice. 8 times 8 is 64. 64 times 3.14 times 5, it's a really big number. Notice, I got 1,004.8. Look at the answers. There is one that's slightly bigger than the answer I got. That is answer C. But look at all the other answers. 800, 500, 600. None of them are remotely close. So do not panic when you get your answer and you're like, wait a minute, I don't see my answer, but I see one really close. For the ones that you're dealing with a circle, pi r squared, cylinder, pi r squared h, that will happen. Just be ready for that. If you have any questions on that, please send me an email. I'd be happy to explain it to you more, and we'll do plenty of examples. All right. One of the cool things we did and where we kind of ended up was add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Positive and negative numbers, in other words, integers. Integers, the whole numbers, they're opposites and 0. So positive and negative numbers, positive and negative numbers. All right, when you're adding positive or negative numbers, there are two basic rules. You're either going to have same signs, that means a positive and a positive, or a negative and a negative, or you're going to have opposite signs, a positive and a negative, or a negative and a positive. These are the rules. If the signs are the same, you add the numbers. Use the original sign. If the signs are opposite, you just subtract the two numbers, big minus small, and you say, what did I have more of? More positives or more negative numbers? Here we go. First one. I got a positive 4 and a negative 5. Those are not the same signs. Those are opposite signs. What does the rule say there in blue? Big minus small. So that would be 5 minus 4, which is 1. You're not done yet. You have to look back at the original problem and ask yourself, did I have more positives or more negatives? Well, negative 5, there's more negatives than positives, so the answer is negative 1D. Once again, I'm adding. How do I know I'm adding? Look at the plus there. I'm adding. What am I adding? Same or opposite signs? A negative 3 and a negative 3. I'm adding two negatives. It says add the two numbers. So I'm going to add the two numbers. 3 plus 3 is 6. But I must use the original sign. I'm not originally adding positives. I'm adding negatives. Therefore, the answer is negative 6. Negative 6. What about subtraction? What are the rules? There are no rules for subtraction. We turn subtraction to addition. Subtraction is the same as adding the opposite. So we're going to take that middle negative number, middle negative sign right there and make it a positive. Once it's a positive, then we're going to follow the rules for adding. So what do you got to do? Rewrite the first number. Change subtraction to addition. Look at the second number. The second number is negative 5. What's the opposite of negative 5? Positive 5. Now we're going to use addition. So now this is the new problem. Negative 1 plus 5 is the new problem. Okay, is that same or opposite signs? Those are opposite signs. It says use big minus small, so 5 minus 1 is 4. Now look at negative 1 plus 5. Did we have more positives or more negatives? We have more positives, so the answer is 4. Once you change that subtraction to addition, do not look at it again. Look at the new problem. One more. Negative 8 minus 4, negative 8 minus 4, negative 8 minus 4. We're going to rewrite the first one. We're going to change subtraction to addition. Now that's a 4. That's not a negative 4 because there's only one negative there, right? So that negative we just turned to a positive. So what's left after we change that negative to a positive is the number 4. What's the opposite of 4? The opposite of 4 is negative 4. Remember when I did this, I would cover it up with my hand when I did this? Okay. So now look at that. Now ignore the original problem. Now we have a new problem. Negative 8 plus negative 4. Same or opposite signs? Those are same signs. Same signs, you're supposed to add the numbers. 8 plus 4 is 12. It says use the original sign. We're talking about the new signs. And that we're adding negatives, so therefore the answer is negative 12. Enough of the hard ones. Let's do the easier ones. For multiplication and division, remember, there's only two rules. You're either going to be multiplying with same signs or with the opposite signs. These are different than adding and subtracting. They're not the same rule. All right, if you have same signs, the answer is always positive. A positive times a positive or a negative times a negative is always positive. But if you're multiplying or dividing opposite signs, the answer is always negative. A positive times a negative or a negative times a positive is a negative. Here we go. 10 times 2 is 20. But I'm multiplying a positive times a negative, opposite signs, so the answer is negative. Negative 20, answer D. How about division? Once again, 25 divided by 5 is 5. Now look at the signs. Do I have same or opposite signs? A negative 25 and a negative 5. Same signs. It says the answer is always positive, so the answer is positive 5. And that, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end. No more. Now you know what will be on the semester final. Now, will I give you, 5 questions on each? No. I will certainly probably give you more than one. But I will make this a reasonable test. So I'm shooting for somewhere, for the average kid to take about an hour to take this test. If it takes you an hour and a half, that's fine. If it takes you 50 minutes, that's fine as well too. All right? It should not take you 2 hours to finish this test. If there are any specific questions, do not wait till Wednesday night to ask me. Ask me between now and let's say Tuesday evening. Right? That'll still give us some time to practice. The test is on Thursday. Good luck with your studying and good luck on all your finals. See ya.